Hey everyone, it's Libby from maighstirtarot. I'd like to acknowledge the Worimi First Nations people. It's WORIMI, and welcome to you, your guides, my guides in the universal energies. Okay, entertainment only for the guides. The furs are back. The the partner's been sent away. Oh gosh, looking forward to having my own office. And when I want to have a look at this in this particular reading, it's a little bit of a follow-up from yesterday, but I don't know if anyone else feels it, but a real energy shift, a real lightening of the energies. Now, as crazy as that sounds, because boy, oh boy, there's some stuff happening in the world at the moment, some really um, just, intense stuff, including 69 people drowning off the Mauritiania islands or something along those lines. A boatload of migrants. There's a lot happening in the world at the moment. Massive protests in Indonesia. In Australia, the neo-Nazis infiltrated some of the pro-Australian, well, actually they were pro-white Australian protests that went on the weekend, which I am pleased to say didn't have a huge turnout. And I just thought was just incredibly ironic, considering they all came from immigrants and they were waving their made in China flags. But the neo-Nazis infiltrated, and what happened then is that the neo-Nazis then got on the stage ranting their awful rhetoric, and the protests went very, very quiet. Made a lot of people there incredibly uncomfortable to even be considered as being a state. This is not what I thought I was protesting. I didn't mean to be here when they were doing this. What's happening in Indonesia? Massive protests about government perks for officials, and the perks themselves were about 10 times the minimum wage of the, if you can hear that, that's Bindi carrying on, the minimum wage. And then as part of the protests, apparently a police officer or a police car ran over and killed a protester. So it's sort of all ramped up, and there's government buildings being set on fire. There's a lot of really, really horrific stuff happening, but what it is it's pushback. So we've got the moon card. This is very much about emotions coming to the surface and being expressed. And once the light is shone on them and they are being expressed and secrets are being revealed, and we're looking at massive change coming through. Now I'm using the Light Seers Tarot. It's a beautiful deck because it does feel like secrets are coming to the surface and being revealed, which is resulting in this. Now I believe there's huge protests outside Trump Tower in New York City at the moment. This is just emotions are coming to the surface and absolutely boiling over. It is very much about decisions need to be made. Do not get distracted by the toxic choices, otherwise the path forward is not clear. This is very much about a time that governments and corporations need to make some really tough decisions. But then we've got the strength card here, the feminine strength, the compassionate strength, the strength of caring and looking after those that are less fortunate. I mean, what's happening with the US, with the regime, I'm not talking about you guys, but I'm talking about the regime. First of all, demanding that the homeless be swept off the streets. Goodness knows where they go, because at the same time, the regime has removed the mental health protections, the social security safety nets, the housing affordability. It's all being removed. Well, this is about the emotions boiling up because the people have had enough. Governments need to make some tough decisions. They need to make the right decisions about going forward, but if they get caught up in this past toxicity, they're going to find themselves in big trouble. because this is New World Order stuff coming here. Now, let me just pop those cards back randomly. The people are fed up. The people are fed up, but they don't quite know how to seek a resolution just yet. So what's happening is the people are letting governments and corporate leaders know. Interestingly enough, Nestle fired their CEO for having inappropriate relations with basically an affair with an employee. That, 10, 20 years ago, turn a blind eye to it, not pay any attention. Oh, it's just boys being boys. No, not anymore. We are on a new journey, and we need to work out how we're going to steer these out of control horses as we are on the journey. This is new journey stuff. Feeling betrayed, feeling anguish, feeling like barren abandonment. But here comes the star of hope and healing. So this is very much in holding on to what is really important. This is about dreams, holding on to what is really important, bringing forward the ideas of what you want this new world to look like. So basically, yes, it's one thing to tear down, but we have to be ready with what we want to be able to build up, because this is all coming to a culmination worldwide. It's not just in the US, it's worldwide. We are having we don't like what is, but we need to decide what we do want. Now, the anti-immigration protests in Australia is not so much about anti-immigration. I'm not condoning them at all, because what's happening is that those that are taking part in these protests are saying, no more immigrants, etc., citing the fact that they all descend from immigrants. 60% of the Australian population is either born overseas or their parents were born overseas. So we are a country of immigrants, and basically anybody except for pure blood First Nations people have immigrants in their ancestry, and immigrants from literally only the last 240 years. So, but these anti-immigrant protesters, what it is it's not so much anti-immigrants, it's about the fact that housing is so expensive. We've got an awful shortage of housing. It's happening in Australia. It's happening, I believe, in New Zealand, in the US, in the UK. There's a shortage of housing everywhere. I think what's happened in Australia is because the Conservative government basically put the brakes on it for about 10 years, and then we've fallen 10 years behind what we actually need. So there is this, why are we letting more people in when we can't house the ones we've got? It's about jobs. Now, if an immigrant's coming in and stealing your job, perhaps you need to skill up, and actually apply for these jobs. And trust me, when they come into Australia, they do not go on Centrelink. They don't qualify for Centrelink straight up, but they do get some sort of relief package, from what I understand. I may be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong there, but I don't think they qualify for the Centrelink payments, which is the Social Security payments straight up. But let's have a look. So we've got this massive shift that is happening. We've got a massive shift that is happening. How's it going to... Okay, yeah, absolutely. Huge new messaging coming out, huge new beginning coming out, and I don't even know if I need to go any further. It's about the people deciding what future they would like to see, stepping into their power. So it's not blaming the government. It's a bit like, oh gosh, it's spot sneezing if you heard that. It's a bit like I know in Australia you get the odd person that makes the comment about, oh, the government, if you say mutter, 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 somebody's on the unemployment benefit. Not me, but, there is, this attitude towards it. And those that may be getting the benefit saying, yeah, but the government pays it, you don't. Well, I hate to tell you, but the taxpayers actually pay it. So this is very much about the people, you, me, everybody else, stepping into our power, our authority, taking back control of our situation and taking the steps to bring about this future that we actually want to see. There's no express elevator up here. You actually have to go through the steps. You have to go through the actions. And it's very much about um, and again, I'm just going to say about taking actions. And again, on the bottom, we've got this upwelling of emotion that is coming forward, huge upwelling of emotion, because how do I put this? People know that they don't want what is, but they haven't yet worked out what it is that they want. And this is really important. Deciding what future we do want, stepping into our authority and bringing about this new future. But it is, this huge upwelling of emotions, but then letting go of those emotions and walking towards the new horizon, the new beginning, the new dawn. So worldwide this is happening. Let's have a look. I'm trying to shuffle and they're not letting me. It's the end of the dictator. It's the end of the dictator is what I'm getting. Taking back control from corporations and governments, demanding more. Now, no change of this dramatic upheaval happens without dramatic upheaval. But let's have a look. We've got this huge spilling out of emotions worldwide, protesting against what is and what was. But are we going to make the shift to what we want the future to look like? And what is that future going to look like? I can do future lives. I've done past lives. I do future lives, and I keep getting that it's sort of halfway between Star Trek and Star Wars, but more Star Trek than Star Wars, if that makes sense. More Trekky than Warsy. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, and there's a puppy dog. Okay, let's have a look. Are we going to be able to make this transition from what was to what can be? Come on down. Justice. It's about drawing the sword of truth. It's about looking in the mirror and deciding that we actually like what we see. It's about our actions having consequences and finding a balance. So our actions having consequences, drawing the sword of truth, looking at ourselves in the mirror and agreeing with what we see looking back at us. And I don't mean literal mirror, I mean mirroring back. This is huge energy. The second signifier, the birthing of a new earth, based in emotional wisdom, feminine wisdom. It's all about the birthing of a new planet, a new earth, a new humanity, new skin beings. The energy we're stewing in at the moment is just despair and anxiety. I totally get that. Boy, oh boy. But you've got this white raven here that is coming to dispel all this darkness. So the energy we're stewing in is nightmarish, despair, anguish. Is it ever going to end? Well, yes, it does. There's only one guarantee in life, and that is change. And we are at the moment in this process of change. In the past, a need to walk away from what no longer serves towards new horizons, and crowning this reading, this overwhelming emotion. What is hanging over this all at the moment is bringing the emotion to the surface, shining a light on it so it can be seen clearly for what it is. And only once it can be identified, then action can be taken and it can be dispelled, and it no longer has power over us. But the longer it gets held under, the worse it will get. So it needs to come to the surface, and that's what's happening, bubbling to the surface. Yeah, new beginnings, new plans, new concepts, new fire energy, but really powerful third eye fire energy coming here in the immediate future. So yes, and it's all about community. It's all about coming together. It's all about celebrating the variety that makes us humanity. If we were all the same, it'd be awfully bloody boring. And we'd find a reason to fight amongst ourselves anyhow. This is about celebrating, coming together, community, joy, internally, so externally, but internally. Having to go through the stages of grief, heartbreak, loss, despair, but feeling like we've been torn apart. We need to make sure that we go through the 7 stages of grief so that we can emerge into this new energy instead of stewing in what we feel like tore us apart in the past. Now, we've all come across people like that who have lost somebody in their lives, whether it's a loved one or a family member or whatever, and has never been able to process the grief and has never been able to get through it. And they sit in that bitter energy of whichever stage they got stuck in their grief, because they refused to move forward and work through it. And whether it's the anger, whether it's the bitterness, whether it's the pleading, whether it's the victimhood or whatever it is, we've all met people like that. So we need to internally make sure that we go through every single stage so that we can emerge out the other side in this stronger energy. And then, only then, can we heal. This is the healing, this is the nurturing, this is the new opportunities, this is the serenity, this is the peace and the calm. The outcome, working together to create something beautiful, choosing what we want for ourselves, not what's on offer, not what's already in place, choosing what we want for ourselves, what we are intuitively drawn to. And when it all comes together, it is going to be magic. It's going to be very much about loyalties, emotional companionship, and then moving forward. And then we've got, again, the communities coming together. Emotional, physical communities coming together. I really, really like these cards. You've got the strength card, you've got the inspirational feminine energy coming forward. It doesn't have to be female. And you've got the 9 of Cups, you've got the joy, the celebration, the emotional joy and freedom. But we have to go through this process first. And I'm going to say we're further along it than we might believe. Because at the moment we are in this energy. And I'm just going to say we are further along than what you might think. This has been stewing for a while. So, are we going to see? Joy. Well, first of all, yes, big yes card, saying yes to what I'm saying, but also everything being exposed and stepping into the joy. I'm just going to say the next card is the Wheel of Fortune is turning. It's very much about giving and receiving help, back and forth, passing it on. Just because somebody gives you some help, you don't need to return the same in kind. Pass it forward. I'm a big fan of pass it forward. Swings and roundabouts. King of Wands. Stepping forward, strength at your shoulder, new plans, new beginnings, new ideas. And then the Two of Pentacles. It's about on the individual basis deciding what you want your future to look like. Materialistic or higher energy. I'm going to end that reading there. That was actually, again, these readings, same as yesterday, really short because boy, oh boy, do they get to the message quickly. And again, I feel like we are further along the path than we may realize because at the moment we are in this quagmire. So love to you all. Love from Spotty. Take care. See you later.